First contact's price. The quantum field detector's alarm pierced the silence of the Helios research station, causing Dr. Sarah Chen to nearly drop her coffee mug. The reading was unlike anything they'd seen before. A massive distortion in space-time approaching Earth's outer defense perimeter. Director Chen, "You need to see this," called out Dr. James Rodriguez from his monitoring station. "The quantum signatures. They're artificial." Sarah's heart raced as she studied the readings. After 15 years of searching the stars for signs of intelligent life, humanity had its answer. But the timing couldn't have been worse. They were mere weeks away from announcing their breakthrough in quantum shield technology. The massive vessel that emerged from the distortion dwarfed anything humanity had built. Its surface rippled with an ever-shifting pattern of lights, like a living thing. Before anyone could react, a transmission cut through all Earth's communication channels. "This is High Arbiter Ven of the Archean Collective. Your species has been detected utilizing restricted quantum technologies. Prepare for immediate technological assessment and integration." In the chaos that followed, Sarah found herself quickly pulled into an emergency meeting with Earth's Defense Council. General Diana Santos laid out their options with characteristic bluntness. "They're demanding access to all our quantum research facilities. They claim authority over all advanced technology development in this sector of space. The question is, do we comply?" Sarah thought of the breakthroughs her team had achieved, developments that had taken decades of free scientific inquiry. "If we surrender our research, we're not just giving up technology. We're giving up our right to innovate, to discover, to grow." The Council's decision was unanimous. Earth would not surrender its technological independence. The Archean Collective's response was swift and aggressive. 3 massive warships appeared in Earth's orbit, their weapons charged. But humanity had not been idle in the years since achieving spaceflight. As the alien vessels prepared to fire, they discovered their targeting systems couldn't lock onto Earth's ships. The quantum shield technology that Sarah's team had developed didn't just block energy weapons, it made the protected vessels exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. The first battle for Earth's technological independence lasted less than an hour. The Archean ships, for all their size and power, couldn't hit what they couldn't properly detect. Earth's smaller, more agile vessels danced through quantum space, their advanced AI systems coordinating attacks with inhuman precision. When the last Archean ship retreated, its hull scarred by quantum torpedo impacts, humanity had won its first interstellar battle. But Sarah knew this was just the beginning. "They'll be back," she told the Council. "And next time, they'll be better prepared." General Santos nodded grimly. "Then we'll have to be even better prepared than they are. Dr. Chen, you have unlimited resources. Show us what human innovation can really do." As Sarah walked back to her lab, she couldn't help but smile. The Archean Collective thought they could control technological progress through restriction and regulation. They were about to learn that human creativity thrived best when challenged. The quantum field detector beeped again, but this time it was detecting the signatures of more Earth ships being launched from the orbital shipyards. Humanity was mobilizing, not in fear, but with determination. The age of human isolation was over, and the galaxy would never be the same. Breaking the chains. 3 months after humanity's first encounter with the Archean Collective, the Helios research station had transformed from a pure research facility into the heart of Earth's technological resistance. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before a holographic display of their latest quantum shield modifications, while teams of scientists and engineers worked around the clock. "The Archons are adapting," Dr. Rodriguez reported, pulling up combat footage from the latest skirmish. "They've started using multi-phase weapons to try to overcome our quantum state shifting." Sarah studied the data streams. The Archons' weapons were impressive, but they followed predictable patterns. Every shot, every tactic seemed to come from an ancient playbook that hadn't been updated in centuries. "They're not innovating," she realized. "They're just trying different combinations of existing technology. Show me the analysis of their shield frequencies." The holographic display shifted, revealing complex waveforms that pulsed with mathematical precision. Too much precision. While human quantum shields adapted and evolved during battle, the Archon shields maintained rigid, unchanging patterns. General Santos entered the lab, her uniform bearing new scorch marks. "We just lost the Europa outpost," she announced grimly. "The Archons brought in something new. Some kind of massive ship they're calling a world-breaker." The room fell silent. The Europa outpost had been home to 3,000 colonists. "Casualties?" Sarah asked, dreading the answer. "None." Santos smiled. "Your quantum evacuation system worked perfectly. We lost the infrastructure, but every person got out. And we learned something valuable. The Archons are desperate. They're resorting to brute force because they can't match our adaptability." Sarah turned back to the shield data. "Their technology is more advanced than ours in many ways, but it's frozen. Like they discovered a perfect formula and never questioned it, never tried to improve it." "Can we use that?" Santos asked. "Already working on it," Rodriguez called out, his fingers flying over his console. "If their shields follow fixed patterns, we can design our weapons to exploit the gaps between those patterns. They might be using bigger guns, but we can hit them where they're weakest." The next Archon attack came sooner than expected. The Worldbreaker emerged from quantum space near Mars, its massive form blotting out the stars. It was accompanied by a fleet of smaller vessels, all bearing the distinctive rippling lights of Archon technology. But Earth was ready. The new quantum torpedoes, designed to phase through the predictable gaps in Archon shields, proved devastatingly effective. The smaller Earth vessels darted through quantum space, their attacks synchronized by AI systems that adapted faster than any organic crew could respond. The Worldbreaker's main weapon, a beam capable of cracking a planet's crust, proved useless against ships that could exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. Its rigid, unchanging defense patterns made it vulnerable to Earth's evolving attacks. "They still don't understand," Sarah muttered, watching the battle from the command center. "They think technology is about finding the perfect solution and preserving it. They've forgotten that true perfection lies in constant improvement." The battle ended with the Worldbreaker in retreat, its supposedly impenetrable hull breached in multiple places by weapons that shouldn't have existed according to Archon technological doctrine. But the victory revealed something even more significant. "Look at these readings," Rodriguez pointed to energy signatures from the retreating Archon ships. "Their quantum field generators are operating at barely 60% efficiency. They're using the same designs they've had for centuries, but they've forgotten why they work the way they do." Sarah understood the implications immediately. The Archons hadn't just stopped innovating. They'd lost the ability to truly understand their own technology. They had become users rather than creators, maintainers rather than innovators. As the Earth fleet regrouped, Sarah began drafting plans for the next phase of human technological development. The Archons thought they had perfected quantum technology centuries ago, but humanity was about to show them what real perfection looked like. Not a fixed point, but an endless journey of discovery and improvement. The war for technological independence was becoming a war of innovation itself, and humanity was just getting started. The innovation race. The secret transmission arrived during Earth's night cycle, its origin masked by sophisticated quantum encryption. Dr. Sarah Chen was awakened by the AI monitoring system, which had flagged the message's unique signature. As she decoded it in her secure lab, her eyes widened with surprise. "My name is Kexlar," the message began. "I represent a faction within the Archon Collective that has watched your species with great interest. What you have achieved in months took our ancestors centuries. Some of us wish to learn." Sarah immediately contacted General Santos, who arrived within minutes, her uniform wrinkled from sleep. "Could be a trap," the general mused, studying the message. "Or it could be our first real insight into Archon society," Sarah countered. "Look at these technical specifications they included. This is internal data about their quantum field generators that matches our observations perfectly. The decision to respond was debated fiercely by Earth's Defense Council, but ultimately, curiosity and the potential for alliance won out. Within weeks, a secure quantum channel was established with Kexlar's group, revealing a startling truth about the Archean Collective. Our society calcifies innovation, Kexlar explained in one transmission. Any deviation from established technological patterns is seen as dangerous heresy. We are taught that the ancestors discovered the perfect forms of all technologies, and our duty is merely to maintain them. Dr. Rodriguez, who had joined the secret communication team, was fascinated. But surely some must question this. The evidence of stagnation is everywhere in your systems. Until we saw your ships in battle, we had no evidence that different approaches could work, Kexlar replied. Your quantum state manipulation techniques shouldn't be possible according to our doctrine, yet they clearly are. You've shattered centuries of certainty. The exchange of information proved invaluable. While the Archean's base technology was indeed more advanced in many areas, humanity's fresh perspective and willingness to experiment led to rapid breakthroughs. Sarah's team discovered that many Archean technological laws were actually arbitrary limitations imposed by their society. Meanwhile, the main Archean fleet continued its campaign against Earth, but each battle revealed their growing confusion. Human ships now utilized hybrid technologies that combined Archean principles with Earth innovations, creating capabilities that the Collective's doctrine insisted were impossible. They're fighting their own assumptions more than they're fighting us, General Santos observed after another successful defense. The Archean ships still followed their ancient battle protocols, unable to adapt to Earth's constantly evolving tactics. But the most significant development came from an unexpected quarter. Other species under Archean control began to take notice. Reports filtered in through Kexlar's network of ships quietly testing modifications inspired by Earth's examples, of young scientists cautiously experimenting with new ideas. You've started something that can't be stopped, Kexlar transmitted. The Collective's leadership is facing questions they've never had to answer before. Why do we limit quantum field harmonics to certain frequencies? Why are AI systems kept deliberately simple? Why can't we try new approaches? Sarah's team worked tirelessly, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. They developed quantum tunneling systems that could transport entire battleships instantly across vast distances, shield technologies that could bend weapons fire back upon attackers, and AI systems that could predict and counter Archean tactics before they were even implemented. The Collective sees technology as a finite resource to be controlled, Sarah explained to a group of visiting scientists from Earth's colonies. We see it as an infinite frontier to be explored. That's why they can't adapt to our advances. Their entire worldview doesn't allow for the possibility of genuine innovation. The turning point came when an Archean research vessel, commanded by scientists sympathetic to Kexlar's faction, defected to Earth. Its databases contained the complete history of Archean technological development and the deliberate suppression of innovation that had turned a once dynamic civilization into a stagnant enforcer of artificial limitations. Look at this, Rodriguez said, poring over the historical data. Early Archean quantum theory was actually more advanced than what they use now. They didn't just stop advancing. They went backwards, deliberately simplifying and restricting their technology to make it more controllable. As Sarah studied the ancient Archean research, she felt a mix of sadness and determination. The Collective had sacrificed their society's potential for the illusion of perfect stability. But their encounter with humanity had shattered that illusion, and now change was coming to the galaxy whether they wanted it or not. We're not just fighting for our independence anymore, she told General Santos during a late-night strategy session. We're fighting to reawaken the spirit of discovery in an entire civilization. The general nodded, understanding the weight of this responsibility. Then we better make sure we win. Because if we fail, they'll make damn sure no one tries to break free again. Ripples of revolution. The Helios research station's quantum sensors detected the massive energy surge seconds before the transmission arrived. Dozens of ships had just emerged from quantum space, but they weren't Archean warships. The vessels displayed a chaotic mix of designs, some clearly modified with human-inspired technology. "This is Liberation Fleet Omega," the transmission announced. "We represent 17 species who reject Archean technological suppression. We seek asylum and alliance with Earth." Dr. Sarah Chen watched from the station's observation deck as Earth's defense fleet moved to escort the refugee ships. Each vessel told a story of rebellion. Improvised quantum drives, hybrid shield systems, and modifications that would be considered heretical by the collective. "They'd been watching and learning," Dr. Rodriguez noted, analyzing the sensor data. "Some of these innovations, they're not copies of our technology. They're entirely new approaches." General Santos arrived with news from Earth Command. The Archean leadership has issued an ultimatum. They're declaring any species that adopts unauthorized technological modifications to be in open rebellion. They're mobilizing their entire fleet. The refugee fleet brought more than just ships. Scientists, engineers, and innovators from across Archean space had risked everything to break free from technological stagnation. Each brought unique perspectives and centuries of suppressed ideas. Sarah found herself working with beings she could hardly have imagined months ago. The crystalline entity, named Zixtel, possessed intuitive understanding of quantum harmonics. A gaseous collective consciousness called the Mistweavers offered entirely new approaches to AI development. "Our ancestors knew there were other paths," Zixtel explained during a joint research session. "But the Archeans buried that knowledge, claiming it was dangerous. They made us forget how to question, how to explore." The combined research efforts yielded results that surprised even the most optimistic projections. Quantum shield technology evolved into something entirely new, a system that could create localized pockets of altered spacetime. Weapons development took unexpected directions as different species contributed their unique perspectives. But the most significant breakthrough came from an unexpected source. The Mistweavers, working with Earth's AI systems, discovered a fundamental flaw in the Archeans' technological doctrine. Their entire approach to quantum mechanics is built on a deliberate misunderstanding, Sarah realized, studying the analysis. They've been using quantum field generators at partial capacity because they believe full utilization is dangerous. But that danger was a lie created to maintain control. The implications were staggering. Every piece of Archean technology could potentially be operated at levels far beyond their current capabilities, but only if their operators were willing to break free from centuries of imposed limitations. The response from the Archean collective was swift and brutal. Worlds suspected of harboring technological rebels were placed under strict lockdown, but their actions only served to spread the revolution faster. Every act of suppression pushed more species to question, to experiment, to resist. "They don't understand what they're fighting anymore," General Santos observed during a strategy meeting. "This isn't just about military victory now. It's about the right to think differently, to challenge assumptions, to innovate." Earth's defenses were tested as never before as the Archean collective launched increasingly desperate attacks, but each assault was met by an alliance that grew stronger through diversity and innovation. Ships from dozens of species fought alongside Earth's fleet, each bringing unique tactical and technological approaches that the Archeans couldn't predict or counter. The refugee scientists proved invaluable, their centuries of suppressed creativity finally finding expression. Together with Earth's teams, they began to unravel the foundations of Archean technological control. "Look at these power readings," Rodriguez called out during one analysis session. "The Archean ships are showing signs of quantum instability. Their crews are starting to experiment, to push beyond the artificial limits. They can't stop the spread of ideas." Sarah watched as another group of refugee ships arrived, their designs showing ever more creative modifications. The revolution they'd sparked couldn't be contained by force anymore. It spread through quantum space itself, carried by ships that dared to defy doctrine, by beings who dared to think differently. The Archons built their power on the belief that technology should be controlled, limited, perfect, she told her combined team of human and alien researchers. But they forgot that true perfection isn't a destination. It's a journey of constant discovery. As reports came in of more species joining the rebellion, of more worlds defying Archean control, Sarah knew they were approaching a point of no return. The final confrontation wouldn't be fought just with ships and weapons, but with ideas that could reshape the galaxy. The question was no longer whether the Archean collective would fall, but what would rise in its place. And for the first time, the answer to that question would be written not by one species imposing its will, but by many species working together to explore the true frontiers of possibility. Dawn of freedom. The quantum distortion alarms blared throughout the Helios research station, but this time they were detecting something unprecedented. The Archean collective had gathered its entire remaining fleet, over 10,000 ships, for one final assault on Earth. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at her command station, surrounded by holographic displays showing the approaching armada. Besides her, representatives from 24 alien species worked at their stations, each bringing their unique perspectives to Earth's defense systems. "They've modified their quantum generators," Zixtel reported, crystal form pulsing with concern. "They're operating at full capacity now, something they've forbidden for centuries." Desperate times, General Santos observed grimly. They're finally breaking their own rules. The combined defense fleet waited in Earth orbit, a fraction of the size of the Archean armada, but representing the greatest concentration of technological innovation the galaxy had ever seen. Each ship incorporated advances from multiple species, creating capabilities that would have been impossible for any one civilization alone. "All ships reporting ready," Dr. Rodriguez announced from his tactical station. "The new quantum mesh network is stable. We're as prepared as we can be." The Archean flagship appeared first, a massive vessel that dwarfed even their previous worldbreaker. Its quantum signature was off the charts, suggesting they had removed all the artificial limitations from their systems. "This is High Arbiter Ven. The transmission cut through all frequencies. Your rebellion ends today. Surrender now, or we will demonstrate the true power of properly controlled technology." Sarah exchanged glances with her alien colleagues. They had anticipated this, the collective's final attempt to prove their doctrine of technological superiority, but they had prepared for it in a way the Archons couldn't imagine. "This is Earth Command," Sarah responded. "We offer you one last chance to join us in building a future without suppression. Your own history proves that cooperation breeds innovation faster than control." The Archean response came in the form of a massive energy surge. Their fleet began charging weapons that operated on principles Earth had never seen before. But instead of fear, Sarah felt a surge of excitement. The collective had finally been forced to innovate, and in doing so, had proven their entire philosophy wrong. "All ships, initiate protocol unity," General Santos commanded. What happened next would be remembered for centuries. The combined defense fleet didn't just fight back. They demonstrated what truly unrestricted innovation could achieve. Ships linked their quantum fields in ways the Archons had deemed impossible, creating vast networks of shared consciousness and coordinated action. The Mist Weaver's consciousness technology merged with Earth's AI systems, allowing entire fleets to react as single organisms. Zixtel's crystalline quantum harmonics amplified the effects of every ship's weapons and shields. Dozens of other species contributed their unique advances to create something entirely new. The Archean fleet found itself facing not just superior technology, but a superior way of thinking about technology itself. Their rigid formations and centralized command structure couldn't adapt to attacks that came from ships working in perfect, innovative harmony. "Their quantum fields are destabilizing," Rodriguez reported. "They can't handle the full power of their own technology. They never learned how to properly control it." Sarah watched as the mighty Archean fleet began to falter. Ships designed to operate under artificial limitations were tearing themselves apart as their crews tried to match the power of the Allied forces. The collective's doctrine of perfect, unchanging technology was proving to be their undoing. But victory wasn't what Sarah was watching for. As the battle raged, her sensors detected something else: quantum signatures from across the galaxy. More ships were arriving, not to fight, but to witness. Species that had lived under Archean control for centuries were watching their oppressors' philosophy crumble in real time. "All ships, hold fire," she ordered suddenly. An idea forming. "Broadcast on all frequencies. Show them what real innovation looks like." The Allied fleet linked their quantum fields one final time, not to attack, but to demonstrate. They created a massive quantum space phenomenon, a controlled, stable version of what the Archons had always feared. It was beautiful, a swirling cascade of quantum possibilities made manifest. "This is what freedom looks like," Sarah transmitted to all ships, friend and foe alike. "This is what we can achieve when we work together, when we share ideas instead of suppressing them. Your ancestors knew this truth before it was hidden from them. It's time to remember." The effect was immediate. Across the Archean fleet, ships began powering down their weapons. Some attempted to flee, but most simply waited, their crews witnessing the end of an era and the birth of something new. High Arbiter Ven's final transmission was brief. "What have we become? What did we sacrifice in our quest for perfect control?" In the days that followed, the galaxy began to transform. The Archean collective dissolved not through force, but through the simple reality that their philosophy could no longer sustain itself. Species that had been separated by artificial barriers began to share ideas freely, creating advances that no one could have predicted. The Helios Research Station became the first of many centers of unrestricted innovation, where beings from across the galaxy could come together to explore, create, and discover. Sarah found herself working with scientists whose very existence she wouldn't have imagined months before. "We didn't just win a war," she told her team as they prepared to test yet another new innovation. "We restored something precious that had almost been lost: the joy of discovery itself." As she watched ships of all designs come and go through Earth's quantum space corridors, Sarah smiled. Humanity's greatest contribution to the galaxy hadn't been any single technological breakthrough. It had been the reminder that the universe was not a finished work to be preserved, but an endless frontier to be explored together. The age of suppression was over. The age of infinite possibility had begun. The end.